come to the well, where they come to now on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM, and where you be able to reach also now with Facebook page, when at True Talk FM, and also you can check we on YouTube for you able for follow we program. The well na a program where they look at things them where they happen within Parliament and outside Parliament, but we get things them for do with Parliament. Every proceeding now, every interaction, every engagement within they get, and the outcome of how they affect Salone people them. Nothing this way the well they focus on. Inside the program today, we go look at waiting the inside the supplementary budget for Sierra Leoneans them. Now, family them wanna know say last year, well, every year with the year they round up, Parliament can go well. The Minister of Finance can go na Parliament, and waiting in mostly can they do now for read out the budget where they want to allocate for the incoming fiscal year. Now, then they be non happen. But we see, say, as we don't go halfway inside this 2025, we see something new. We see the Minister of Finance go back na Parliament and when Sheku Fantamadi Bangura and go present one supplementary budget. Now, this supplementary budget now for adjust government own spending and pan the revenue plan them with the government also be non-set this year. So let we assume say government be non-say from January to August now so and so now plan for spend pan road business, them go come revise them back because of certain economic activities them or changes them we don't happen or where they non-witness inside the international system and even within Sierra Leone. Now, them changes here, they include waiting the government been planned for make based on how the economy actually they go. And waiting don't happen where these changes them here actually come. And waiting and don't collect so far in revenue. And waiting and still plan for do before the year they end. Now, inside this program today, we go look closer inside the supplementary budget and waiting it gets for mean for the country. And the key areas them where governments actually want plan for focus on as we they go along the way inside the remaining months them for this 2025 particularly, and how we get for affect the economy and the ordinary Salone man and woman. You can same way so add your voice to the program today by way of sending text messages them to we pan we number 072 641 729 072 641 729, or you can drop comments now with Facebook page when at True Talk FM, or even on we YouTube channel when at True Talk 98.5 FM. You can same way so in fact call on the number where I just don't read out to you if you want for put your input. We they allocate time around 7:45 for pick phone calls them we go one kind inside, or for read una messages them the text messages them we wanna go plan for send. And we they go for a short break where we come we they get into the discussion proper. Me we bring the program to you today. Me your name na Bemba Kamara. Welcome back, Famulem, and remember say the program where they listen to right now on the well where they meet you every Friday at 7 p.m. so till 8 o'clock p.m. And we get a very wonderful personality with me today. I feel like it don't dey inside the civil society space for a long period of time. You don't get experience. Same way, so the institution where they work with, now one of the leading institutions, them where actually they monitor government spending and everything we get for relate with finance business where it camp and government activity them in Sierra Leone. And we guest today na in name Mr. Abubakar Kamara and na in the coordinator for Budget Advocacy Network. Mr. Kamara, tell Fambule Madu and introduce yourself small.
Good evening to Talk and good evening Sierra Leonean. Me na Abubakar Kamara, the coordinator for Budget Advocacy Network. We na BAN. Of course, BAN, the niche of BAN work is around public financial management, and we operate within the principle of transparency, accountability, and participation around the whole PFM issues na Salone.
PFM?
And public financial management.
Okay.
And we rely on generating evidence for advocacy. So now that make most of the time We can take with time for analyze government either income expenditures. We can also do studies around revenues, issue them, and not only criticizing governments or but also providing alternative in terms of what we think will work best for either generate revenue or looking at government spending or looking at how government they manage resources, account for the resources within the context of transparency, accountability, and public participation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kamara. Now, Mr. Abubakar, Famulem Golek for know what exactly we mean by this supplementary budget and why governments actually decide for bringing them now.
Not to just now, you know, the constitution na give the mandate for Minister of Finance for the good supplementary budget na Parliament.
Okay.
When conditions then change. Because if you can recall last year, November, Minister of Finance presents the budget for 2025. But within 2025, both the Constitution of Sierra Leone and the Public Financial Management Act give Minister of Finance the mandate that if certain things then change, Minister of Finance not for just sit down on themselves and adopt those changes and move ahead. Whether in terms of, for example, if government get extra revenues or the revenue they perform well, or certain things then actually happen. But in this particular situation, based on the supplementary budget, there are three things them will make them go the supplementary budget in Parliament.
Okay.
Number one, which with money they call macroeconomic fundamentals then. We basically mean say them parameters then will they guide the economy, the overall economy in your operation. And number one for them now the inflation.
Okay.
And we see USA inflation drop from 54.1 to around 7.1%. When a significant drop.
Okay.
And of course, the main contribution to them drop now the food inflation.
Okay.
And we know in Sierra Leone, we talk about food, the major thing harvest. We see the price of rice go down. So it also affect the inflation for Lebanon drastically. The other one are fuel. You know, so fuel now a composite commodities. And we don't see fuel don't drop around that. So they all contribute towards the inflation will drop. And mind you, where government they do them budgets, they get certain assumptions then. So if their assumption they no longer hold, the Ministry of Finance not just sit down themselves and take up a decision for adjust. No. Therefore go back to Parliament and by extension go back to the people there because Parliament they represent the people there.
Okay.
Say now this don't happen. So therefore we need for adjust. Then number one. The other fundamentals again will really change now the interest rate on the treasury bill bond. You know, where government can add up, they can go first to the public. And the way they did first to the public, they can sell bonds them. And we don't see the interest rates of the treasury bill bond down reduce from 41% to now around 14%. Although the effect of that change they will not go for CN this year. Now next year I'll go for CN because most of them don't go first. Majority of them don't go first now for 1 year treasury bill bond. What means say, for example, if I lend government 100,000 euros, using the previous interest rate will not be 41%. It means that next year I pay government now 141. But because the interest on treasury bill no longer count now, so if at first 100,000 euros, it means that next year now I will just pay 114. So the effects of that rate now next year go for effects. So it means the government go for spend less on paying interest on the treasury bill bonds and what they don't make. So that was fundamental. And they also we see and it also don't change. We also see as per the supplementary budget the exchange rate become relatively stable compared to the previous years then. So that's not the one reason why Minister of Finance carry the budget in Parliament. The other one in relation to other issues around public debt, around aid flow. Of course, aid flow that the money will give you free. The aid flow again it drop. So for example, government we don't plan for get 200 million, then I just 10 or 20 million don't come. It means say it don't affect other expenditures them. So because it don't affect other expenditures them, Minister of Finance will just sit down by themselves say, okay, you love this by 5, you by 10, you by 15. No. That decision then Parliament get the rights, the sole right for that decision for say, okay, let the decision happen. So that make bad and care go to supplement budget in Parliament. The other one now for within with manical and budget credibility, but basically budget credibility simply means to what extent the government they meet in plan. For example, if I plan for collect 100,000, I collect 100,000. If I not collect 100,000, that means my budget not credible. If I plan for spend 200 million, if I just spend 100 million, that means my budget not credible. So because they want to maintain the budget credibility, and of course, another reason again now where revenue slip down. In fact, from the figure them present, revenue come down by almost 30%. And when revenue come down by 30%, that's a big amount of resources. So because they want to maintain budget credibility, it means say they go for adjust the expenditure. Because the money what they hope forget, and then they get again. It don't reduce. So therefore, I need for adjust my expenditure for ensure say I reduce with this. So that I go maintain the deficit. The deficit basically now the difference between what government plan for collect or what government plan for spend. Say like for example, a government plan for collect 100 million. A government plan for collect 100 million. Then they plan for spend, all what's in plan for spend are 130 million. So that means the deficit is 30 million. So but if revenue reduce, if you say they maintain the same expenditure, it means say they wildly deficit. So for the government also again try for reducing deficit, that making getting care with the budget in the parliament. So then three major issues in the give Minister of Finance the warrant for coming to parliament. And because it also mandated by the constitution and both the Public Financial Management Act, Minister of Finance by themselves, if they take the decision for reduce or add certain MDAs done or departments them without the approval of parliament, na contempt of parliament standing.
Right. So, Mr. Bangura, you actually don't take
Kamara.
your time. Sorry, Mr. Kamara, sorry. I remember the minister in him. You actually don't take your time to outline some of the factors then we make parliament actually come with a the finance ministry come with a supplementary budget to parliament. Your own points them actually interesting. Waiting on my question where I get is, and hear me out. When me been they read the budget speech, where them post them online, say they online now. One of the primary things them way the minister mentioned say responsible for them presentation of these supplementary budgets. Them call them then say heightened global economic uncertainties them. So them blame them on things them like tariff hikes them, then they say then new conflicts them with the non they see around the world actually don't drive well. It's either hand when it comes to budget spending for this particular year. The thing is, you don't mention internal factors. Where them may come now, them prioritize external factors them. You feel say government they overblame outside factors them for things and we actually they affect we budget rather than looking at the real problems?
No, what he talks so now one of the reasons we Minister of Finance key. And now three reasons them. So now one out of two. But overall, from my own perspective, the major reason are the slip down in revenue.
So if that's not the case now, if inflation, take inflation for example, if inflation non-drop from 54% inside 2023 and it don't come to as low as 7.1% inside this June 2025, as the president and the minister in your speech being say, because we then say now one digit inflation we get now, we now good news, if I be good news to we not to him, but if things don't improve, why them still need for change the budget?
Not to then get the power.
Okay.
The way the public financial management space they work around the budget processes, whether things improve or things deteriorate, what in parliament don't approve, they not for change them until they go back to parliament. In this situation, based on this situation, we find out say the macroeconomic indicators then they improved. But when it comes in terms of revenue slip down, revenue reduce. Okay. We give government the cause for adjust the expenditures then. Okay. Although the expenditures them, not to all MDAs them budget reduce. Okay. Some MDAs then the budget increase. Some they increase by 30, some they even over 100% increase. But overall, expenditure, the proposed expenditure where Parliament will approve last year for 2025, it reduced. Overall, again, the proposed revenue and grants where government proposed for gets the revenue that the money when they collect and the grant the money they give, who they give free. What in them plan for as per the budget Parliament approved last year, it also don't reduce. Not there again by high day. So because of that, Minister of Finance not get the mandate for do the adjustment by themselves and go ahead. They can do the adjustments, but then you need to get the approval of Parliament before they go ahead with then changes in the budget. And now law, if they do them without Parliament approval, now contempt. That means say they don't go against the law, and they need to abide by the law. And the law, both the Constitution of Sierra Leone and the PFM Act, now make a mandatory. So whether the condition favorable or condition deteriorate, as long as you want to do major changes them in the budget, you need to get parliamentary approval.
So government where this 2025 been starts, government will actually target 18.9 billion new loan inside and domestic revenue. It actually quite interesting why they come with this now, because you actually they emphasize on the revenue. Now where the minister come them, as he say them project something like 17.9 billion new loan. Now we don't see a shortfall of 1 billion new loan. Which you feel say responsible for them factors them?
No, the state and clear lane is open the budget. Now compliance with.
Now for fumble them with the
compliance with, we mean say a lot of taxpayers and for different tax they need to comply. And one of the major tax streams were affected are the GST. The goods and services tax, from what in them plan last year to the reverse now, it means say it don't drop down by over 30%. So what it means say, what does it mean? It means say the compliance rate is low. So therefore, government need for Minister of Finance to NRA for ensure say they really put mechanism in place for increase the compliance on the GSTs, including with the citizens themselves. Of course, we see a lot of shops can get GST machine, and in fact, as part of addressing that challenges, government said they procure for another 5,000 GST machine them for distribute to taxpayer them. But of course, there are challenges currently. One, not all businesses then way don't reach the threshold for register for GST get the machine, and it could be some amount of fairness need to happen there. For example, if I get a business, we don't reach the threshold for get GST, but I don't get a GST machine. This other business get a GST machine. So it means say where they buy to the get a GST machine, they pay 15% more higher than the person now. If reach the threshold but not get a GST machine, so they pay 50% much lower. So now the government then start and the supplementary budget say then they try to procure another 15,000.
5,000.
Another 5,000, I mean, and GST machines then. So the compliance are the major issues then will affect revenue. And the revenue streams will affect, the major one will affected now the goods and services tax. We mean say, now tax way for every goods way they buy, every services, as long as that business they register with GST, is supposed to put 50%. And of course, there are challenges in terms of the compliance. Some businesses and they collect the 15%, but they pay to NRA. Some then they collect them. Of course, we don't say about some shops then. You want GST percent, you want GST, you pay 115,000. You know, want GST, you pay 100,000. So we also the citizens then go for realize say, if NRA not able to collect the required resources, we no go to get a number of services then we will get, whether in terms of school, education, security, all other services then. So we as citizens again, we need to help government for ensure say we support the revenue drive for collect revenue for government. Of course, NRA, the government is obviously including NRA, they also get a responsibility for ensure say there is transparency, there is accountability, and those resources are managed for the intended purpose.
So quite interesting what you mentioned the fact the GST na daily problem in the then I hear you and I say they actually get this plan for rollout electronic cash registers them. Now you actually don't mention so about 5,000 for registered taxpayers them. Now before they actually can integrate anything from this system here, family them go on know. Yes, governments they try for push an agenda for make sure say they're able for lock deciding within the lost money. But the question they come, where then think yeah actually they be this shortfall where we get in this budget here? Is it truly say na tax evasion in a sense say na people them no one pay the tax, or na NRA they fail for tell we say they not get proper enforcement mechanisms them we make them loopholes them here they actually still they exist. To you, what do you see am as? You feel say now we the people are responsible or na NRA them get them shortcomings them?
Um, you know, the issues are many
Okay.
in terms of where government they lost tax system. Number one, the issues around corruptions. We're having resources way for go to government, private individual they divert them. We see quite recently there was a case around NRA, over 100 billion,
Yeah.
over 100 million, over 100 billion way an individual wouldn't say they on the one right now. We understand say ACC don't charge an account. So corruption now one aspect, but there are also other institutional issues them. For example, we do a study quite recently as ban around tax incentives. So government they also lost money around tax incentives. And from that study, they just for 2023, we government the incentives then we government lost now hundreds of millions of dollars. So those are institutional issues them. We mean say, and what we find out around that tax incentive that we know there are law then the way they grant businesses then come them for tax incentive, but in most cases they have been misused. So there should be a system for ensure say number one, the right institution or the right business that then get tax incentive. Number two, then for ensure say they use them for the right purpose, and then for streamline them. There are some companies then way for when they can operate when they get incentives over 10 years now, still they continue for get incentives. In time tax incentives, I mean now for help the business for startup,
Yes.
for let you able stabilize, but getting on handing exemption for certain companies, right. So which means say the tax incentives and duty waiver law need for be reviewed for address that particular perspective there. There are other issues around compliance from the side of citizens them.
Exactly.
We having citizens them know they also help in terms of ensuring that NRA collect the required. For example, the GST now one aspect and there are other issues then when policies them because of the policies then we government they come on board now they make with the lost revenues them. I mean if the policies them where government count they not really look at them from economic point of view for ensure say waiting with the get in more than waiting with the loss, we can lose revenue by that particular aspect there. So overall, there are many areas in where government possibility there for loss revenue. Of course, custom now another areas. There are different area there. Of course, we don't see, for example, custom. In there are allegations in terms of, I mean, waiting now the original manifest to the final manifest, some discrepancies there. So in a whole compounded program, which will require different approach for address them. There is no one fit all approach. But we as citizens, we also get the responsibility for all government accountable. We get the responsibility for ensure say people can pay the right tax. Interestingly, there are laws then would also they provide incentives for where they report. For example, if the law now say if you able to get evidence for say this particular business when a GST they get GST machine, but they need to get the GST receipt. As long as they report, they find the business, and when they find the business, you will go report. You get percentage of that share there.
Okay.
So there are also laws then they will try for encourage citizens them for reports on tax abnormalities them where they happen. So it's broad. The issues around where government lost revenue and the reason it's broad from policy wise from administrative wise, issues around corruption, issues around compliance, issues around policy. There are many.
Right, so, Mr. Kamara, before we come to the supplementary budget, actually, like proper one, written at the additions inside it, quickly, government make recommendations. Them well, we think say recommendations them they we go lock them, all them here. You just not mention these electronic cash registers them where they want bring for these GST taxpayers. Them you actually feel say if them implement them systems them here, you feel say we they able for cut the problem before it they grow more, and how soon you feel say that they go begin to reflect on the citizen them?
You know, even if government procure GST machine for all the GST registered business them, if there is no proper monitoring of the system, if there is no human interference of the system, if citizens do not help for ensuring there is compliance, we still no go get the revenue effect we they plan for get. You know, GST alone don't do for solve a major revenue problem. If we able to get GST right in terms of compliance, it means say we they get a number of things them right in terms of revenue, because GST alone don't do for take care of majority of the issues them. Because mind you, government expenditure, if they get, there are major areas of government spending. For example, based on the initial budget, wage bill alone now close to 40%.
45% actually.
And it get interest payments around 40%. So if you put wage bill and interest payments, we talk about close about 90 something percent
of
domestic revenue.
So what's more left now for begin development projects then?
Very small. So that means say, if we not get grants them, if we not go take loan, if we just rely on just domestic revenue, we will just for pay salary and pay we debt them and the interest rates. Ceramic, the grant we can get, the money can go free, the loan them, whether the international loan them or the domestic loan them that the treasury bear one we government can buy, I think it help around that day. But if we get a situation where having government they will generate enough revenue, it will help for reduce that gap there in terms of the money they left.
Like this mineral wealth fund now, so if then they begin operate fine one, if you say we will help with that way there?
The mineral wealth fund now a good initiative. Interestingly, where we go by the Finance for Development Conference in France, I do find out say Ethiopia Airlines. Now the mineral wealth fund they use for set up the Ethiopia Airlines.
Then inside Ethiopia.
Inside Ethiopia. So now government itself now get the Ethiopia Airlines to the mineral wealth fund. I mean now good initiative. If all we able to implement them well and use the resources for the right purpose, absolutely it will help a lot of problem. It will make we take we decision for ourselves and do things we really want. Because currently the benefits we get from the mineral is small, not just the mainly apart from then income tax or after tax they pay. Now the reality we're not just 3%. We're very small. But the mineral wealth fund now where in government get huge share of them, absolutely it will really help in terms of do big development things for the country.
Mr. Kamara, quick one now. Let we come back now to the supplementary budget. I mean, I've been tempted for further the discussion on the mineral wealth fund, but so what did actually change from the original budget where government's been getting inside the supplementary budget now? What did change?
A number of things didn't change.
They able help with self-ambulance,
both in terms of revenue, in terms of expenditures.
Okay.
You know, look at more around the expenditures. For example, one of the sectors we really affected are the social sector. The social sector, there was a cut of close to 31%. Of course, the social sector, now getting the health, education, social welfare. So these are the social sector. And based on the supplementary budget, there is a cut of around 31%. And in fact, within the social sector, the ministry were mainly affected are the Ministry of Basic Education. Their expenditure reduced by almost close to 50%. Because ADBD put around 1.1 billion, so now it's around 600 million. So which means close to 500 million cut down. Of course, we also get the other sector then some the way increase. some them way decrease. Of course, but the general sector we see increase. The economic sector again, it also increase. So basically, the changes them varies by ministry, department, agencies. For example, transfer to local councils, the initial budget now be 344 million. Now you don't count up to 287. So which means you don't reduce by almost around 50 million. In fact, now that make sometime last week we put a press release. We looked at the non-disbursement of funds to local councils. Then, of course, we notice say from the start of January to up to August, government not transfer no single cent to the local councils. In as much as the budget don't reduce, of course, it's understandable because the economic factors then don't change. But the fact that government able send money up to now a cause for concern because local council then they for provide basic services in various communities then, especially the underserved communities then. So if government not send money yet, it means a number of things then. Number one, it means say that below man we sick. If you go for require a referral for let them take on a bigger hospital, now the parent they go for buy the fuel, or the below man said they go for buy the fuel. But if money for don't come, there's a budget line for almost all of the councils then for provide fuel for ambulance for referral. It also means say where you sick now go na then hospital now the province them, then they will provide fuel and food and diet. It also means say basic amenities then we can where they supposed to buy in a hospital then they get them. It also means say the PHUs them they go struggle for run because in the various council budget they get money for PHUs then for buy so for pay for clean for that. So it means say that all that cost then now therefore be transferred to the citizens then. So the effects for where government not transfer money to local council up to now is huge. And it undermine the principle of decentralization. It brings some aspects of distrust between the citizen and the government that government no really don't prioritize local council then. Interestingly, transfer to local council now government priorities. Now Minister of Finance the priority area of spending. But for left from now, from January to now, they never send nothing. It means say it's no longer a priority. So now we don't urge the Minister of Finance, let them speedily transfer the money then to local council for let citizens then at the various provinces then. You also able to get services from the budget. Mind the budget is there to provide services to the people them. And the people are more would they rely on government budget at the ordinary citizens then.
Yeah.
And the one that would be responsible for letting it happen mainly at local councils them. Because then they work at the various local communities them.
Now, the overall spending, we see the government cut from 35 billion million to 31.3 billion million. And inside this spending cut, we notice, we see like them capital projects them now. Now, them actually get most of the cuts them, if I associate myself. Like, the capital projects them, I think, in drop from 13 billion to 9 billion million. You actually agree with the idea for cut on the capital projects money like that? Because then they go mean now, say, sometimes that clinic no go get better medicine them, or sometimes the schools them not go even get them school feeding programs them, or sometimes we not go even get money now for spend more on them goods them. You actually feel say it been fine for the government reduce money per capital projects them, or you feel say something else been the way we for don't pull money per in this budget cut we get so.
Well, the capital project them in this case no looked at some of the recurrent expenditure. For example, the example we give so they fall under recurrent expenditures. Okay. So not all in fact not all the capital project then reduce. Even the recurrent expenditure they also reduce. And mainly na them big capital project them. The one on, for example, teaching and learning materials, medicine, they all them focus they fall under the recurrent expenditures then. Okay. But even them, we also see a reduction in the budget line for the MDs and we're responsible for that. Them. We also see local council and we're responsible for do some of them things and they not get money up to now. And in fact, one thing we also want to for Turkey is one of the reasons why the rate of the single tier GBI bond come down, not because government withholds spending to most MDs them. And you know, now a free market will deal with.
Yeah.
When the demand not high, it bring the rate down. Now one of the things what government do, they will put a lot of spending into the MDs then. And again, but of course, you also get a downside of that. It means so MDs then they without money, and they not get money for provide certain services. And we also see in the case of local council, then we opt in now the novice if 1 cent for the whole of 2025, and we know the key role they play. Now then are the lifeline in terms of providing services then to local councils then. So huge capital expenditures indeed they are affected, but of course it justified because overall revenue don't slip down. And then also the grants and way government supposed to get, not get it. So the grants and where the money where they give free, we see, I mean, it reduce. They're not forthcoming. So as a result, government got all the rights for ensure say they streamline some expenditures. Then, though not to all MDs them, some MDs they increase, some MDs they not increase. We see some MDs then we get over 300% increase. Some then they 150% increase. Some they 10%, 20% increase. It depends. But mostly the sector we affected now the social sector. And when I win one of the concerns them because the social sector, the health, education them, now they mainly the poor rely on.
Yeah.
And mind you, the poor and the vulnerable, now they mainly rely on government services them in terms of health, education. I mean that the money man they wait and go private hospitals. But the poor and the vulnerable then now government services they rely on. So for we, that margin of reduction in the social sector we see and see a concern for us because those are the services them where the poor and the vulnerable really rely on, and they rely on government services for either education, either health. We know the rich people either they go private school or they go private hospital then. So if those sectors are affected, it means say majority of the ordinary citizens also will become affected.
Way for budget deficit, we already the minister say budget deficit go for reduce from 3.9% to 3.8% of we GDP. Waiting and they go mean for the ordinary marketing man with the abacha.
No, it simply means say, you know, government no get much burden. Government go able for the government go reduce in borrowing because the budget deficit now the gap between what the government intend for collect and what the government intend for spend. If that gap they wide, it means say government got to go borrow more, either internationally or locally. But the fact that it reduce, it means say government in borrowing go for reduce. It means say the money we government go for first from outside, or the money we go for government go for first from citizens them to the treasury bearer bond go reduce. So that deficit means say government go for reduce in borrowing. I will know when government reduce in borrowing, the effect now the following year. It means say government go for also reduce the payment will go then go for do on either interest payment for either domestic or external debt or government don't take.
Way in revenue collection, you feel say changes been there inside this budget here? How government can for go to collect more money going forward? They mention any new strategy?
Yeah, in the supplementary budget, then talk about what the things they want to go for do. One, that electronic machine, the issues around enforcement, the issues around the transit account from the commercial bank. So then get a number of strategies they put in terms of revenue. In fact, from supplementary budget, we see say mines revenue go for increase by 34%. So it means the government go for collect more money from the mines. We also see say the income tax go for increase by 1%. So, but of course, as I said earlier, the one affected mainly are the GST. So they get various strategies they intend for do. But above all, it's around how do we ensure say compliance really increase. And what about compliance? Not just for GST, but across all the various tax streams. Then how do we ensure say the one who's supposed to pay, then pay the right taxes and then pay on time for the government to function well.
You feel say them revenue targets them with government don't set, so you feel say realistic? I mean, why would they think so? I read a part where they say government plan for also collect GST them upfront from EDSA. That go mean for say electricity tariff them get for change. How then they go to affect that man now when at 30,000 or more income they get for go to buy lights?
No.
So tell you buy now, you feel say go to that's less you need to go to get.
No, in our for change, the whole thing is EDSA now they pay the GST to NRA. They collect them, they use them. So the new strategies for let them ensure say what them pay all the Let's see, how they pay. They all get GST. You buy top up today, GST amount today. But it's not they pay the money to NRV. So probably they want to get a mechanism where in extra they pay that particular money to NRV. If you possibly say for letting them back now, that would be now government own arrangement. But it don't mean say that you're going to be an additional 15%. It means say that 15% will pay for all interview for them. The one ensure say NRV going to capture that particular money there.
And inside that subsidies and transfers now electricity no more the government's been focused on or other areas them then are waiting for reduce subsidy on for let them able for manage money more.
You know, when we talk about subsidy and transfer, even transfer to local council fall under part of the transfer.
Them,
so now wide.
I think it will not discuss.
And now wide areas around that particular side. So you not just focus on the energy sector, but of course currently government is subsidized EDSA because the money where EDSA they collect no match to the cost of them running expenses. So government can normally subsidize. Of course, we see now that we get huge money, we get huge debt over pay to the car powership because EDSA was supposed to collect and pay. The money no able match. So as a result, government can come in and subsidize. Of course, government can also give subsidy to universities, them various universities them.
Or SLG.
SLG now want even the university them the some part of the follow the operations then.
Or administrative
then stuff then there. So now wide area than the but of course it also gets we also see some reduction as part of supplementary budget because then feel say because the revenue the slip down the revenue and the grant will not forthcoming yet make government go for contract in expenditure for with this so then back also affected somehow in terms of government expenditures then.
With these interest payments them, I read and say interest payments them they go up from 7 billion and one go up to 8 billion. I mean, we've been mentioned and we've been discussed just now on how much well you know mentioned the debt primarily, but how much the wages we salaries them for pay salary, how much they expand domestic revenue. If governments don't plan for increase interest payments them and debts them within they get no more. To 8 billion out of 18 billion with them been catered for this fiscal year. Then they no mean say the debt actually for pay with debt them gets for it significantly inside with revenue.
No, the thing is
not
a government they even increase the interest payments. The interest payment they come up naturally. Where you trust money, for every trust you trust you get in conditions there, you get the interest fits them.
Okay.
So that interest payments there now the interest of all the money then way government and trust. So government don't just don't increase them. Now then you know the situation they manifest itself. Now based on waiting government and trust now in get for increase that particular one day.
So now like that invisible hand of how the free markets they operate now. So
exactly. And let me tell you, you know, in terms of public debt, there are times you can see with public debt to go up. But there are times even if government not first, we debt to go up. You know the reason?
Right.
One of the factors then are the exchange rate. Say like for example, 10 years back it was $100,000 or $100 million. And 10 years back you look at the rate. The rate not be reach 1,000. And now you go pay that 100 million this year. Then the rate now done double.
Yeah, from 70,000.
Exactly. So in Leon's term, the money don't increase. The public debt don't increase. So the exchange rate gain are also one factor working help for increase. So impact also that affect the interest rates. So like for example, if you be trust $100 million, say like the interest rate now 1%. Let me say if that 1%, let me say for example, let me say now $10 or $20. That $10 or $20 in Leon's terms before 10 years back is different from now. So the exchange rate can also contribute. At times I would see we debt can actually they go up. But in terms of the interest rates, now based on waiting government trust. Based on waiting government trust, based on the rate of government be agree on, whether I external debt or domestic debts, when are the TGBR bond, when they can sell, now based on that the government go for pay people. And interestingly, from the original budget for 2025, domestic interest rate payments now almost 92% of the total interest government go for pay. Because the interest na short term. So, most of them short term, the interest is high. For example, before then March, April, the treasury bill bond will be 41% interest rate. So if you go for pay next year now, if you 100 million first, now it will be 141 million. So because at short term, the interest is high. So even though we get more external debt than domestic debt, but in terms of interest payments, we pay more domestic debt in terms of interest payment than external debt, because external debt, na long term, it's na 1% or 2%. But because they pay over a long period of time, some 10 years, 20 years, they pay a small in the fill. But the domestic debt now, we could normally take to the treasury bill bond, the interest rate high in a short term. And as a result of that, it creates more burden. In fact, in terms of interest rate payments, now they create more burden on government now than the external interest.
Why I with this debt business inside now? Because when you watch inside the budget speech with for this supplementary budget, the speech with the minister been talk out, it talks say 50% of the money what we get for this year. Inside this first half of 2025 now for pay with debts now they go to you see so they make they wonder going forward this not going to be sustainable for the ordinary Sierra Leonean, because the money where I go let government make for me big football field we go add to IMAT football field for like they play ball now agents now they can for go they use for pay me debt. Now waiting me one ask is now you really feel say we be able for decrease or we be able for reduce the interest rates them with government actually they get? I mean, me they feel say if they reduce how much then they lend from them, bank them, or if them issue long-term bonds them, sometimes then they go make the interest rates lower. But I mean, I think if you say then they go be something where we be able for embark on, how realistic then they go be?
Yes, it's possible for over time we reduce debt. Number one, government for streamlining expenditure.
What's in they mean? I mean, sometimes that power
it means say create and get one parable say cut your coat according to his size. It means say plan your expenditure within the money where you will collect.
Okay.
But let's first look at on why government can normally go to source money. Mostly now for address the gap in the budget. And the gap in the budget we having the expenditure high. But the money where now we go for collect and money they go free, they match government expenditure. So it means say government go for reduce on the expenditures then. That's one. Secondly, we need for increase on revenue collection. I mean currently we would on rebase with GDP.
What is that name for
it means say they don't bring more players than the economy.
Okay.
More activities they don't come now the economy they don't take into account now many other players or other sectors that will contribute to the production of the goods and services in the economy.
Okay.
So now because they don't rebase the GDP to revenue don't reduce now they between around 7%, 7.70%.
Okay.
But if we increase with revenue to the regional standard, say like 15%, it means say government will collect more money. And when government collect more money, it means say government will get more money for doing any own development activities then. So it they reduce the burden for the government go trust. As long as there continue to be more budget deficits, it means say government go for the go trust more money. And the more they go trust, the more the following year go for the pay. So now the goal cover whole.
Really not
so the whole thing is, as I mentioned earlier, government go for plan itself within certain budget.
Okay.
But we can also understand the political pressure for deliver.
We will deliver.
The one making sure say what's are there,
they get
more there, more this there. But because we don't get the money, we will go trust. And when they go trust now, so there the computer accumulate, and year in year out, we interest payment, the principal and what we pay, they continue for accumulate. So unless we are able to handle and manage well, firstly, unless we are able to generate enough resources. For example, if we are able to handle GST component of revenue. That will help a lot. So you reduce the pressure for government for go borrow. The secondly, government also need for streamline the expenditures them. For ensure say they no over budget we go give them the cost for go borrow money outside.
Okay.
Then thirdly, managing those resources effectively for ensure say they able to deliver for the intended purposes. But for let government able to address the revenue issues, there are a couple of things need to be done. One from the policy aspect, the administrative aspect, the compliance aspect. If all that need for come in for also come into play for ensure say we able to meet with revenue, we increase with revenue. At least if we able to increase with revenue by 15% of GDP in the next 5 to 6 years, we will help a lot.
I think the ordinary Sierra Leone we go to listen with right now and where they agree with conversation already don't get the two inside with you they talk. This thing that dig all cover all business. If we know waiting me they think is Mr. Kamara, if we know actually plan long term, if this government want for come, this government come and want for come simply begin show say EDEPA do something, then it go try for go lend money and then for come begin pay for certain social services that we need. Now bomb with the set for we save time bomb because the moment where that government they left, the next one where they come go begin remember how for fix the problem that way the last one left. So if we continue for good, they think on these short-term recommendations, then we take it. I really feel say in the long term, we picking and picking them, not go can meet something better in a salon. But you've been mentioned something under this interest rates business where I'll be one ask question, but we been they discuss and I'll be one cut you off inside it. You feel say if we ask NASIT for buy more of which treasury bond them, feel say then they go help the problem?
In fact, it ain't a part of the budget speech.
So what do you think about that?
This supplementary budget, it ain't part of them.
You feel say that they now something realistic, or you feel say you go remember the ordinary policy way they work in pension, the safety of in pension.
In fact, before I answer a question, one of the things we really push for also bring get a public account of NASIT. Let's let them know overall how much we all don't contribute to NASIT. Every year, what now the status of NATIS fund? Because now money will they pay the NASIT. That transparency is also needed for NASIT. But all said and done, NASIT is an overall entity on its own. And they get huge resources. Let me tell you, NASIT get huge resources. Just imagine every month 15% of the overall government, just if you take the government wage bill 15%, where they go to NASIT, now huge money. The whole thing is, how do we ensure that those resources are free from misuse? How do we ensure that government manage the resources? But if NASIT get money, and I believe say if NASIT go invest on treasury bond, it will be at a lower rate. If it be at a lower rate, it means say government will get much expenditure the following year them.
Okay.
So probably one of the ideas now for them reduce the pressure of buying treasury bond at a more higher rates. I'm sure government entity to government, it will must be at a much lower interest rate. And if the interest rates lower, it means say the subsequent year it will reduce the amount of money we government the budget for in terms of interest payments because it's much lower. We go reduce the fiscal space for the government spend more for we in institution for the government spend more on social services them.
Okay. You don't focus more on the social services and how it affects people them.
Of course, because now the majority of the people in them they get services from education, health, you name them, water. Those are sectors for we now we major concern them because now not to luxuries sector now basic services them. At least if I sick I go to hospital, a doctor go see me. I go get medicine them. For example, theater go get various things them for without addressment wounds them or do operations them. The rich can go to private hospital. So focus now more of the social sector because why I should say majority of the civilians benefit from the government budget. And the only way they benefit from the government budget now through the social sector there so education, health, water, you name them.
Okay, so in your own recommendation, then where you go and get now, how you feel say with the with the sky for wrap up now, how you feel say the ordinary Sierra Leonean or in fact not the ordinary Sierra Leonean, this supplementary budget will we get, how you feel say we be able to make them more effective?
Interestingly, for let the supplementary budget become more effective, number one, the money we then plan for collect, then for ensure say they collect our resources there. And two, those resources they able to dispose them to the various MDs there in a timely manner. This brings me back to the issues of the local councils then. Because for let a budget become more effective, it means say they provide the services that we intend for provide. For example, that belly woman will require referral, he need ambulance for carrying a bigger hospital, he able go to the hospital, ambulance take him at no cost to the bigger hospital, he receives the treatments there. Where you go to the hospital, medicine and day, for example, get the frail care there. Medicine day for the frail care, where they give them free. These are how we will ensure say the budget become effective by ensuring say the service we intend for provide, then provide them. By ensuring say, for example, agriculture, the money we then put for plow certain acre for rice, they able to provide the money, then plow the land, they able to get the rest and provide them to various people then. For ensure say, if not for water business, the community they able to get clean water. We go reduce the burden from waterborne disease. We go also reduce the burden in terms of how much government will spend for address the waterborne disease to various people. So for let it become effective, government for generate resources, distribute the resources on time, and the respective MDs then ensure say those resources they use them for the intended purpose in terms of providing services to the people of Sierra Leone.
So, where the minister been the gain speech inside this, inside the budget speech, I see it's a government for continue for enforce and expenditure control where cabinets they approve. Inside your experience, what do you actually feel say they monitor than they?
We now one ban.
Okay.
We also the monitor down there, and in fact, in terms of budget credibility, it's a challenge for let we ensure so budget credible. Over the years, we don't face serious problem at ministerial level, at even divisional level. We don't see, for example, certain ministries. In terms of overall budget credibility, they will say, yeah, that's fine. But when you look into more details, for example, at a certain point in time, we look at the Ministry of Health. The primary health care would them get a budget of around 10 billion by then when I be all years. How much they will give them? Now almost less than 10% of that money they will give them. Whilst the administrative wing of that same ministry today would them get almost the same amount of money when at 10 billion, at the end of the day they will get 20 million. So the administrative wing increased budget by 100%, while primary health care by just 10%. So the budget credibility now a challenge we need to be addressed both at the higher MD level and at both departmental level. Because, for example, primary health care, now the directorate is responsible for primary health service then. And we know majority of citizens then they rely on primary health service then. So we don't see almost every budget speech they can talk about addressing budget credibility. But at the end of the day, we still need to address the budget credibility by ensuring say they stick to it in them plan for collect, they stick to how they plan for spending money within various departments and agencies. So now still a challenge. We even see government come with that electronic pet form where they say the system go ensure say you know go spend above what they approve. But yet still we see some MD they even spend more than what they approve. I can give for example, like an example within a supplementary budget. Office of Secretary to the President. The initial budget from 2025 now be 79.4 billion. Based on the same supplementary budget, as of June, they don't spend close to 255 billion. Now they estimate for 9 they don't spend. So which means say budget credibility is still a challenge. and if we not address budget credibility, it means say other sectors then, and more so sectors than where they do general people then they go for suffer. In this example, while Secretary to the President, Office of Secretary to the President office, the budget don't come up from 79.4 million, 4 billion billion today. As of June, now close to 255. So women say now almost three times the approved budget. Wise critical MDAs then. For example, transfer to councils then, where they provide basic services to ordinary citizens. As of August, they don't get nothing. While some other MDAs then don't get more than double waiting them budget for. So the issue of budget credibility, now all age problem with now becoming one. Almost every budget speech, then can talk about how to address them, but yet still the implementation of how to address the budget credibility is still a challenge.
So the ordinary Sierra Leonean, from what you don't talk now, so where they mention budget credibility, waiting with the kind in mind, is it that government for spend less than we or government for start for spend smarter?
No, budget credibility simply means say from what in parliament approve, government for ensure say they stick to that plan to certain level. The deviation can happen, but not for too large. For example, if government plan say that they collect 20 million. It means they for able to collect at least close to 20 million. But if you don't plan for collect 20 million, they will collect 10 million. That in that year expenditure not credible. For example, if government plan say they spend 200 million, then they go spend 100 million. That's not credible. It also means if you look at from within the ministry, for example, the example I give Minister of Health, even if they spend, let me say, if Minister of Health budget now 100 million, even if they spend 100 million, but the department then way responsible as how them be approve them. If they not spend as how them be approve them, it means say it's still not credible. It means say, for example, primary health care, if they plan for get 10 million, they just go give them 1 million. Then that one for administrative wing, if they plan for spend 20 million, they give them 40 million. It means say it's still not credible. So the budget credibility is simply mean to what extent government is stick to what in parliament approve in terms of revenue, in terms of expenditures.
So I'm sorry, we want to let this program continue, but sadly we get for cut and short because of time. In your final words, what you go tell fumble them quickly? What are your final words to fumble them this evening time?
Well, my final one for me not to fumble, not to government. and I want the government and to be more specific to the Minister of Finance, the local councils seems to be crippled because statutory transfer will go to them. Let it go. As of August, no resources now go to local councils. Women say the people in those communities are deprived of basic services, not to luxury, basic service them. And government make a lot of commitments around how they plan for improve decentralization. But at this particular point in time, it's like the physical transfers of resources to local council, the good and the doing. So I kindly ask the central government, the Minister of Finance, let them transfer resources to local councils so that ordinary citizens and the local community, especially the underserved communities, will get basic services then.
All right. So, well, now so the well program go left you for today. Plenty thank you to honor we listeners them and we guests today. We're in the National Coordinator for Budget Advocacy Network, Mr. Abubakar Kamara, Biwangi and Bangura surname. Apologies for that.
If I buy 2 cows for Punadomi.
And we executive producer we now Mr. Andola Valley, and so we senior producer for today we now Madam Maria Makalma Mara, we now a student na FBC. We studio engineer self we now Mr. Sami Sheriff and Paul we now we cameraman with the tell una all thank you. Me we present the program today. Me own name na Bimba Kamara. The world will return next week Friday for a fresh edition. Until then, stay peaceful and good night. True Talk. Get the facts. Get True Talk.